Good morning. It's the Build Series live in New York City. I'm Kevin Kenny, and I'm hereby declaring this the unofficial album release party for How It Feels to Be Lost. Do we already have a phone? Woo! Sleeping with Sirens, everybody. We just got yelled at behind the scenes by the producer about not having ringtones on. I thought I heard one, but it's good to have you guys here. That's what we're supposed
Thanks
to talk
for having
about.
us.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had a official CD release party.
This is it.
I don't think we've ever had one for any record.
No.
I would argue that this is far better than any of those official ones they throw, because what happens is it's like an open bar kind of deal, and then no one actually winds up listening to any of the music. It's just like a thing to take Instagram pictures. You know what I mean?
It's true.
But thanks for stopping by, guys. It's
Thanks
really
for
great
having
to
us.
see you and talk to you. And it's been a busy year, and it's going to be even busier because you're hitting the road. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Europe, of course, and then also this guy right here. It's kind of a corny question to ask, right? But the title. Can we start there in terms of why you took this direction with the title?
Yeah, so there's a couple answers. On a personal level, like the last 2 years of my life were probably the hardest that I've ever gone through. And I think just like getting older and trying to fight that, like I still want to be young, but I also need to be responsible, and just kind of realizing that there's more important things in my life than what I was putting in front of other things. So how it feels to be lost for me was just kind of finding myself, and through the chaos coming out the other side and finding the light. And then also I think like just on a general level, this life that we live in right now with cell phones and social media and all that stuff, I think that we compare ourselves to people so much. We're constantly looking at what other people are doing, and we can feel lost in that way because we feel like we're not enough or we're not doing enough. And I think that's a really important message I wanted to get across on this album, that you are perfect the way you are okay the way you are, and you don't have to look at other people and want to be them. You should just be happy with who you are.
Totally. Well, as a group, right, that's I appreciate being so transparent about where you've been over the past 2 years, Kellen. But when you approach a creative direction for an album, do you ever find it difficult if you are in different places, right? If you're at a different part in your journey than, say, another band member, and you want to incorporate that into the record, or do you guys find as a group there is a prevailing theme heading into each record?
I mean, I think that what you just said, I think that we were all going through, especially over the last couple of years, I think we were all going through different things, like different personal things going on with our personal lives or within the band, and we were on different journeys for sure. And I think that I can honestly say there was a little bit of a disconnect within the band and each other, and I think that the last few years, that's what we've been working on. And I think that this album reflects all of that, of everybody, finally, being on the same page, but also, sharing in each other's journeys and being a part of each other's journeys as opposed to kind of being separate before. So it's a beautiful thing, and it feels really, really good right now.
And there's something comforting, right? As much as things change in life and things are always changing, there is that constant you guys all share in this band, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like if it wasn't for these guys, like I don't know where I'd be. Having your best friends on the road with you, like helping you, guiding you through everything. Like I definitely am so grateful that I had them to have my back and to just kind of look out for me when I was going through like some tough stuff. And we do that for each other all the time.
Right. Did you ever find peace in that feeling of being lost? Because sometimes, people...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an everyday battle. I wouldn't say that I'm like 100% perfect. I
think you're perfect, dude.
Thanks, dude. I think that some days are harder than others, but I'm like so fully grateful that number one, I get to play music and I get to share the things that I'm feeling, and I'm transparent and honest about it, and that we have people that listen to our music and feel like it does something for them. And also, I just feel like, just being out on the road and being at shows and getting to meet so many different people with like-minded thoughts as me, and just saying, hey, like this song means this to me because I feel this way. Like there's nothing that could explain that feeling of being able to connect like that with somebody. And I never take that for granted at all.
Yeah. You almost just become more and more grateful the longer this goes, right?
For real.
Yeah. I want to talk about some of the songs on this album. Track 2, you got Benji Madden on the track.
Yeah.
How long have you guys, how far back does that relationship go? Did you guys remember the first time you met Benji or linked with
Is it
him?
a few question
years.
again? I'm running out of oxygen. No. So yeah, when we did our record with John Feldman, Madness, Joel Madden came in and he wrote Save Me a Spark with me. And so that kind of started that relationship. And then they made a record, and I got to go in and do a track with those guys. And we just started talking, and we became really good friends. And somewhere down the line, I was like, you all should just manage us. And we've had that relationship ever since. And as far as him doing the track, like our studio that we work in with Zach Cervini is actually their management headquarters, but they just so happen to have 3 studios inside the building. Yeah, so
great.
So we were working on that song "Never Enough," and Benji just so happened to pop in and be like, "Yo, what's going on, guys?" That was terrible.
That was a really, I thought it was
Yo,
pretty
what's going
accurate.
on, guys? So I showed him the song, and I was like, "Yo, I'm kind of stuck on this bridge. Do you want to go in there and see if you can come up with anything?" And the way Benji works and Joel is that they freestyle the lyrics. So it gets really confusing sometimes because me and Jack always laugh because they go into the studio and he's like, all right, play it back. And he'll just kind of sit there and do this, and he'll just say random words like feelings, love, just like that, you know? He'll start piecing them all together. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Needless to say, it worked this time, and he's like, what do you guys think about that? And I was like, you made the record. I can't beat that. Like, that's terrific. So, yeah.
I thought it was cool because when I think back to Good Charlotte, and to me, in my memory, like they kind of picked up the ball from Blink-182 at a certain point in time, and they took it, they incorporated so many different styles. They took it almost more pop at times, more emo at times, more alternative at times. And the track itself, I think, is such a great little example of what you guys have done so successfully throughout your careers, because on that track alone, there's like pop punk melodies. I think the guitar almost has like a metal-esque vibe at times. You almost have an arena rock feel with those backing vocals. But just talk to me really quick about incorporating so many different influences.
Go ahead, Jack. You take this one.
Influences.
Punch myself in the face.
Man, it was just one of those songs to me that came together like very like naturally.
Yeah.
It wasn't a stressful song to write, and we weren't even thinking about writing that kind of song at the time. Like we kind of just set a click, and Zach was like, "This is the tempo that we want to do a song today," and then he said, "Just keep playing guitar." And about 45 seconds later, he stopped it, and he was like, "That's it. We're gonna roll with that." And then within half an hour, Kellen was singing, so it like just came together incredibly natural.
Right on. What's
we all have different influences too. Like we all listen to different styles of music, and I think that's what blends this band so well, is that we just kind of take all of our different interests and we throw it in a hat. And this record definitely came. I think this is the most seamless record we've ever made, but I think that everyone's influence still shines a lot on it.
Yeah, seamless is a great word because it's such an easy listen all the way through. Did you think a lot about sequencing? It's sort of a lost art in music just because of playlisting and what have you.
I think we're really bad at that, actually.
Really?
We are,
No,
yeah.
dude, you nailed it on this one.
Yeah, I think we did on this one for sure. Yeah, I mean, this record just kind of felt very, very, very natural. Like every song was even more exciting than the last one we did. So it was really easy. We had a lot of songs to choose from, and so I think that made it easier to pick the track listing this time. Where sometimes
We did go back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, we
though.
did.
Yeah?
I mean, not as much as the other albums,
Right.
We just wanted to keep the cohesiveness as like, we want the music to be heavy, we want the melody and stuff to be really melodic and easy to sing to, and the lyrics came from the heart, so everything was pretty natural.
Right. Talk a little bit about that back and forth in terms of like, because I think it's always
Oh,
interesting for
it's-
fans, right?
Yeah, it's always me and Kellen going back and forth. It's always like I'll send him like a text message. I'll be like, "What if it's this?" And I think just to get on my nerves, he moves one thing around that just like pushes my buttons. And we'll argue for a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's always for the better.
Right on.
Because I'm a genius, dude.
Well, but at the end of the day, I always get my way.
I meant to ask you, by the way, what's the, I'm sure it's a joke, what's the beef with the Enter Sandman riff?
Oh,
Saint
man.
Anger. Yeah?
No. It's just one day I learned how to play it in a major key, and it just sounds really happy, and it just really gets on all their nerves.
It pisses me off so much when he plays it. Because I love Metallica, but if there's one song I can't listen to anymore, it's Enter Sandman. And when he plays it in a major key, it just destroys my soul.
Totally. Funny. Another track I wanted to ask you guys about is Bloodlines, because in terms of not so much sonically, but sentiment-wise, it almost reminds me of the old Everclear song "Father of Mine," right? Like I'll always be weird inside, I'll always be lame. But talk to me about just the creative process of that one. Oh no, here.
Does this one work?
This one works. I haven't been talking.
Do you want to talk this time?
No.
You can do it.
I don't want to share my feelings on Everclear.
Yeah, Bloodlines was like a really interesting song because it was the first song we did with Matt Good because he shares making this record with Zach Cervini. And he was in the studio doing a Hollywood Undead album. And we've toured with from first to last. We've been friends with Matt for a long time. We've never done a song together. And he just was like, yo, I have an evening open. Do you want to come in? It's like, sure. So I walk in. He's like, yo, I got this piece of music. Do you want to hear it? He starts playing it. And I was like, what the fuck is this? It was like really, really heavy and really, really fun to do. But then the verses were like more in like the pop kind of realm of things. So, I mean, lyrically and everything with that song, I was just kind of thinking about how I was thinking about being a parent myself and how I raise my kids. And I think sometimes about how my parents raised me and things that I agree or disagree with, and how some of those tendencies will trickle into like how I end up raising my kids. Like I'll do something sometimes where I'm like, fuck, this is how my dad used to be to me, and I didn't like it when I was a kid. So I have to like think about how I can change that. So I really wanted to put that in perspective when it came to Bloodlines. Like, yeah, your parents do the best they can raising you, but then at the end of the day, you have to find that fine line of like being yourself and thinking about how you do things. So I wanted to make that the reason for that song, if that makes any sense. I'm sorry I was like talking all over myself, but yeah.
No, absolutely.
I just don't, I don't want to do the bad things that my parents did, but I also want to take the good things that they did, and I want to do that as a parent too.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself? I mean, I'm not a parent yet, but do you ever find yourself like you say something, you're, oh my god, that sounds exactly like mom or dad?
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy,
that's
right?
what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. You guys are hitting the road this fall, and it's going to be a good one. It's Bring Me the Horizon and Poppy. Have you guys ever met Poppy? We've had Poppy on the
Not
show.
yet.
I haven't. No.
What are your thoughts on Poppy?
She's I've met her a few times. A few of us have met her a few times.
She's
but
a nice lady.
She's very, very nice. She's
Yeah.
very kind. But I've actually never seen her live yet, so it's gonna be really interesting. But I'm so stoked to watch her. I
Yeah.
think she's gonna be. I mean, we actually had the pleasure of hearing a lot of her new record, and it is wild.
Dude.
I've never heard anything like it in my life.
The craziest thing I've ever heard.
It's so crazy. We had her review new metal videos on the show, and so I like that she's going in that direction. And
Yeah, it's it's interesting. I mean, if you like the Beach Boys, you can listen to Poppy. But if you like extreme metal, you can listen to
Yeah.
Poppy. It's a trip.
if you like robots, you might want to listen.
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
Poppy, you know.
If you're not sure if you're an alien or not, you might want to listen to Poppy.
I love that you only just come in for one-liners.
That's it. That's it. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, Justin was talking about something the other day that I thought was really interesting that I think that he should kind of bring up right now.
Oh no.
Could you explain
could be
what you
so
were talking about with the Sesame Seeds the other day on?
Oh, I finally figured out where sesame seeds. Like, okay, let's say you're gonna get sesame chicken, right? They have to get at least a dozen buns, and they dust them all the seeds off of these buns for the sesame chicken.
And that's why it's so
That's where sesame seeds come from, is buns.
It is.
Because where else would they
He's
come
100% convinced.
I've
that's
never
real.
seen a sesame
Now,
seed
I just
tree.
want you to imagine waking up at 8:30 in the morning, getting ready to come do something like
I
this.
figured it out.
And
I
that's
know
the
where
first thing he says to you
Yeah.
before getting through a whole cup of coffee.
It's something new every single
Life's
morning.
mysteries, right? That's amazing. We need a bonus track, maybe added to the digital version, where we just explore that concept.
Hey.
We wanted to give him a podcast where he just talks about.
It's called talking to my. It's called talking to myself with Justin Hills.
I think it's genius.
We're here for it. We're going to get to some fan questions, and the first is going to come from the internet.
Nice.
Ooh.
Let's check this out.
Nice.
At Autumn Meadow. Sometimes they're here, though, which is hilarious. Is Autumn Meadow here? No? All right.
It's not present.
It was worth a shot. What was the... high up there, man. Jeez. What was the writing process of this album? When did you decide you wanted a heavier album?
All right, cool. The writing process for this album was, it started in Europe and the UK. Jack sent me, I think, Ghosts, the music for Ghosts. That was the first thing I heard that he was working on. And I loved it. I thought that was like a great direction to kind of move in. And then we kind of went to the studio with that song in mind. And then there was, I think, P.S. Missing You was the other one.
was
that you
number
sent
2,
me.
yeah.
And we just kind of took those two songs, and Zach said, what are you guys going for? And I was like, think of mixing Deftones and 30 Seconds to Mars So low tunings, but melodic choruses, soaring choruses, and that was kind of the writing process, the idea. It wasn't like necessarily like we need to make a heavy record. It was just
It felt right.
It felt right, yeah, definitely.
I was listening to a lot of Back to School this week. by
Yeah.
the Deftones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Deftones. I love Crosses too. Anything that Chino does, I'm like obsessed with.
Totally. You ever listen to Team Sleep?
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
So good.
Also good. All right, let's get to some fan questions. First is going to come from, I believe, behind me. Oh, what's your name?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
This is Melanie.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Melanie.
Okay, so what's one favorite thing about this new album that can't be found on any of you guys' previous albums?
Ooh.
Drop G, the tuning. He's not wrong. Very low tunings.
I mean, I think that there's always 100% honesty from our albums, but I think even more so with this record, that couldn't be truer. When I think that we've written an honest record through and through, now that I listen to this album, it feels like the most genuine, most current version of all of us. And so I think that that is the difference. I think that over the last 5 years, we've evolved so much as musicians, but also as human beings. And I think that that is, kind of going back to what we said earlier, like finally being on the same page and the same path and journey together. I think that that is definitely prevalent in, how it feels to be lost.
That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Great question, too.
Great question.
Let's get to the next one. Come from front row. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Sabrina.
Hi, Sabrina.
Sorry, I'm having a slow
Justin, say
pen.
hi.
It's okay,
No worries.
take your time.
You look rad, though.
I like the whole style. You got you're crushing.
Thanks. My question is, what's your advice for people trying to make it in the music industry?
It's a good question. You go for it. You
You
start it
want
off,
me?
and then I'll expand. Yeah.
I think it takes time to kind of find your niche because the industry is so vast, right? I mean, there's so many different professions. You could be a musician, but there's also booking agents. There's people that work at venues solely. There's people that just, there's so many areas. So I think it's honestly like trying a little bit of everything. I always, was taught by my parents that, don't just limit yourself to like one thing. Kind of test the waters on everything and see what clicks, like what makes you truly happy. I think that if you're just getting started out, I think that working at a venue in any capacity is a really good place to start. That's where you get to meet bands, but you also get to work with them on a lot of different levels, and then you kind of learn a lot about the inner workings as far as touring and how shows run and stuff like that. So just try to get in at a venue, just interning and just starting from the ground up.
Yeah, I think just being passionate about whatever you do, whether it's music or anything. I constantly am trying to discover new music. It's always been something that I've loved, and it is basically like how I live and breathe. So just being passionate about it, because you're going to go through hard times when it comes to creating music or doing anything in that facet. So love it.
Any recent discoveries that you're really passionate about?
Biffy Clyro.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I'm so late to the game when it comes to this band. They're a Scotland band, and they crush in the UK.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But I don't know how I ended up getting into it. It was just like a random choice. Our tour manager, sound guy, is like, you have to listen to this band. And anytime he suggests something, I'm like usually like not into it.
That's wrong.
Yeah, but
Because usually he listens to really sad music.
Really sad.
I think that what they do very well is they write really, really catchy, soaring hooks and relatable lyrics, and the music is really interesting, and it's literally all I've been listening to for like the last 3 weeks.
Anybody else like into anything new right now, or
Anything new?
not to put you on the spot?
Justin, why'd you laugh? What are you thinking over there?
The newest thing on my iTunes right now is the Home Improvement theme song. And I use it as my alarm clock now.
Do you guys wonder how his brain works over here? Like it's
We have
it's
to live
incredible.
with it.
There's another thing that Justin does. Like if I show him a song, he'll type it in to his iTunes, and sometimes there'll be another song with like the same name that won't be the song that I
That's
showed
what we
him.
listen to.
And he'll download that, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I have that song too," but it'll be the different one that.
You guys remember the last tour where Justin made everyone download Tom Sawyer by Rush? And we all had to set it on our alarms at the same time every day. So around 9 a.m., 9 phones would go off and all play the same exact song.
It's amazing. We have time for one more fan question. It'll come from behind here.
Hi,
Hello,
Hi.
it's a long walk.
my name is Emily.
I am.
Hi, Emily.
I just wanted to ask if, like, are you guys thinking about any collaborations, maybe with Pierce the Veil or?
That's
Breaking
always the one, huh?
Horizon?
Luis Pierce.
So the thing about the Pierce the Veil thing is I don't think that we can top King for a day. It'd be really, really tough to go back in there, and I think people would have a very, very high expectation to do that. Plus, I think that for me, when it comes to collaborations, it has to be something really, really interesting to kind of like help me write in like a different mindset. So as far as collaborations go, I'm definitely open to a lot of them, but it depends on what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with a new record coming out, we just kind of want to focus on ourselves right now and just like really put all of our heart into that. I can't even think. I mean, I can think of tons of artists I want to collaborate with, but just not at this moment.
Thank
Great
you.
question. All right, we're out of time. That went by very, very fast.
Yeah, it
Too
did.
quick.
But,
Can we stay a little longer? Let's do another 30 minutes.
Who's the next guest? We'll just like piggyback on that.
Bring him out
show.
here, yeah.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, the record is out and available everywhere. How It Feels to Be Lost. And if
It's
you're
out.
watching locally,
Here.
you can. I don't know. Is this thing sold out? Can I plug the Looney Tunes deal?
You can still plug it. Yeah,
Okay,
I think
cool.
I think there's still tickets available.
If it's sold out, just stand outside. But if you're you want to check that out on Long Island, I think it's going down 7 p.m. tonight.
7
o'clock.
7 o'clock tonight. There you go. Sleeping with Sirens, everybody.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.